What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Ready List video where I just go through my watch list for the next trading day. It is May 15th, 2026. Another nice day for the markets, just powering higher. Obviously, you can sit there and stare at something like the QQQ, the SMH, and think that they're extended, and look at the number of stocks that are more than 10 ATR from their 50-day, and realize, like, yeah, they're extended. But if you constantly see setups working and names working, then you should be focused on what matters the most, and obviously that's the stocks and the number of setups and the number of names working. It is nice to keep in the back of your mind that the overall market is extended, and there's a lot of names, especially in the most important groups like your semiconductors, becoming extended, right? That's obviously an important thing, but um, still trying certain things and still trying to put on some sort of exposure. If you're seeing just the nice looking setups and you're seeing the names act well, and your win rate has been good, and you've had a certain number of trades in a row that have just been winners, you want to size up, of course. But we've been on such a big run now where it's like, I'm not going to not sit here and trade, but I'm also not going to sit here and pack on a bunch of exposure. And maybe in the past few videos, it's been a little confusing, and me constantly saying, oh, the market's extended, this and that, which, yes, I can agree that the market's extended, but for all that means for me is simply just not packing on an insane amount of exposure in one or two names. Like, I'm not going into it with, 30% of my portfolio in a day on one singular name, right? It's more so just constantly looking at that aspect of, like, if the market pulls back, if these extended names just want to rest for a little bit, you'll see that in your trades not working, right? You'll have a few losing trades in a row, and then maybe you have to cut size a little bit, etc. But right now, pressing the gas when stuff is working is what you need to be doing, and it's what I have been doing. I just have not, like, 10% is size is pretty much the max I'll be willing, as long as the setup is good enough, if it's my criteria. But I'm not going in here and packing on 30% in one stock, um, to end the week, right? So it can be a little confusing, but I think the most important thing is just pay attention to the number of setups that are showing up every day, the number of setups that are working, and recently in this week there has been so many, like, I can't even count, right? Some of you that keep track of my ready list every single day, or keep an eye on some of the names I'm looking at, there has been just so many setups and so many names being so explosive, and that's what you get in an easy dollar environment. And your win rate will grow, and you'll have more winning trades in a row. There's certain things like that, so it's it makes you want to size up, but you also just got to keep in the back of your mind, like I said, that a lot of names are extended, um, and we could see pullback at any single time in the market. But for now, continue to do what you're doing, as far as just taking the beautiful looking setup. So without further ado, sorry, I talked a little too much there, but I thought felt like that was important to go over. Lowered the camera a little bit too much, or a little more today, so that way you guys can see me better. But yeah, okay, I'm talking too much. All right, Amazon, let's get right into it. Nice inside day, finally kind of like a real digestion, or it's starting to finally digest. I've got that earnings candle high mark, so, like, it's been an important area for us for about a few days now, and we pull back to the 20, kind of get bought off in the inside day. I'm looking over the priority high as a higher low setup. I think this could work pretty nice, but you look at a weekly, it's like not too much digestion yet, kind of like that first pullback. So we'll see. Continued digestion here would be welcomed for sure. AOSL, really nice inside day. This name got destroyed on earnings, was a beautiful high tight flag breakout, not buyable because the earnings was the next day. As you can see, the reason why you shouldn't, but you get your wedge pop yesterday, and then an inside day today. I'm watching this name over the prior day high, maybe can come back up to the pivot and then re-break out. Would be extremely interesting. You could look at this in so many different ways, whether it's this thing being a flag, something like this, whatever you want. But overall, a super strong name, super strong group. This group is extended as far as the ETF and a lot of the names in the group, but they still continue to set up and they still continue to work, right? You got an ON, this name so extended, wedging like into new highs, and it still explodes and it still works, right? This is not something I'm personally going to trade, but it just shows that, like, if you just pay attention to the individual names themselves, and the most important thing, which obviously is your stocks, and not just stare at like an ETF, it can be rewarding, and it can eliminate like your opinion, and more so just having you focus strictly on the setups in general. ARM was a really nice one the last 2 days. Like it offered 2 entries in 2 days, so I mean this name's been great. Continued digestion here, looks like it could be building a new base. Definitely something I'm constantly keeping an eye on. BE, you get your earnings gap up, you get a nice higher low, and it's kind of continued higher. I think like an inside day tomorrow would be really nice right under the pivot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this name push into new 52-week highs, new closing high today. So super strong, and was a great name to buy on weakness as a pullback, right? So that was a nice one. Circle, you got Bitcoin acting pretty well, and you got an inside day right now in the after hours. But to me, this looks like the action that I'd want to see for it to get back above its 200-day, and it looks like it very possibly could be trying to do that. Really nice day to day on some above average volume, nice undercut and rally of like that prior pivot slash the 20-day. So you know, it's really just a hold of that 20-day, which looks good. Ethereum, you get a kind of a downward move into the 50 and an inside day to day. Looks like another one where it's like sitting right at support, big base above its head. To me, this is the ideal action I'd want to see. You just need to push above today's high to be confirmed. Obviously, Circle is a crypto-related name. Had the big earnings report kind of sideways. I'm watching the high volume close as well as like just continued digestion right here and building out this like little 3-day flag it's got going on. An inside day tomorrow would be awesome. And I'm definitely watching like the earnings open here. So that certain area, which, you know, that could have been a good spot to get into it today. Even, right? As you can see, it's been a very important level here last few days. So just continue to watch that area, or just this name continuing to digest. I think it has got a nice weekly chart as well. CRML, this is the only one on my list that I'm kind of debating on even having on here because group strength is extremely important. USAR, you know, tried to lose the 20-day, kind of came back and held it. Still not a bad look. I don't mind the way that this one looks. UAMY, no thank you. Looks like shit. It's like the pullback that never stops pulling back. And then you also got your MP kind of the same way, as far as like the pullback that just for now it just is not stopping, and it's just down every other day while the market's ripping. Not really what I want to see. It's kind of, this name's kind of starting to get into a vacuum, but you flip to a weekly, you got a big pivot over here, kind of fall into that today, find support, flip to like an hourly, you can see nice undercut and rally, and a really strong reaction off of that level. So definitely nice today. I'm watching the prior day high. Can it push through that? You also got the high volume close from the big gap up on that big important news that I'm paying attention to as well. I still think this name, you know, you get your gap up, you get your sideways, the market's ripping, but it's still going sideways, kind of a red flag, but at the same time, it's like, can it wedge pop, undercut, rally, whatever, back through that 20-day slash the prior day high? I'm really watching through the prior day high or above the prior day high. DOCN, probably not a name I'd buy given the fact that it's pretty extended, but another one where it's like you get your nice reversal candle off the 10-day, and it could be playable over the prior day's high. Probably not something I buy, like I said. I mean, this name's 10 ATRs from its 50. If it opens up like not even 1%, or, you know, 0.5% or 1/4%. But, you know, it's nice to know a massive earnings gap up, a stock in such a strong stage to uptrend, a leader of the technology group. And, you know, so a nice sideways flag that's been building the last few days. So definitely interesting. FANG, another name where it's like, okay, some oil and gas names have been acting extremely well, which I can pull those up just to go through them really fast. Like VIST is specifically in this group. Not a bad day today. RIG, super nice sideways consolidation, acted really well last 2 days. VAL, another one. The oil and gas names actually really haven't been too bad. And I mean, you got crude, you know, kind of coming, it's gapping down right now and after hours, but I mean, you know, you get a higher low on the 50, kind of coming the pivot, you know, we're rejecting it for now, possibly another spot. I don't really want to focus too much on oil and even gold. I mean, you got a few gold names setting up yesterday, but this indeed was just a lower high into the 50, and now it's breaking down. It looks like shit. While silver, on the other hand, was acting really well, and could very much just be a pullback after a nice move up, where it's just kind of this is some healthy action compared to gold, where it's just breaking down. Another spot where it could be a lower high for silver. So it's just, for me, I'd rather stay away from these names. But FANG, nice inside day today, kind of under a pivot. You got some copper names as well, looking fine, like continuing to digest here. Would be really nice. HBM, I think, is another copper name. But yeah, FCX, another one where it's like there's some groups that look nice. They're trying to build bases. Continue keeping on these. GFS, another semiconductor name that's building a nice flag. You get a really big move up, and it's just super tight, higher lows into this. So I think just a break out of this level I got would definitely be important, which realistically it's probably just that prior day high that I'm most importantly paying attention to. But it's another one where it's like super extended, so kind of want to avoid these. Iron was the name I bought today. I talked about this one in yesterday's watches. If you look at a 5-minute chart, right, you come right down to that level, find support on it. I bought this off of a 1 minute and added a few times to it in this 5-minute candle to bring it up to a 15% position. But I've got really nice cushion on this name now, and my risk was very small. So yeah, I think it was a good one. And I mean, this group, you got your WGMI. This remains, in my opinion, the absolute best group. WGMI super strong. NBIS, I own this name from Friday, May 1st, right? Right through this little line you see, that's the prior left side peak, right? Flip to a weekly, you can see that's where I bought it above. That is just like a nice undercut rally or your breakout, you know, where you kind of like squat back in. Realistically, it was an undercut rally, but that's where I originally bought it. Only was able to get a 5% position, so I've kind of just been letting this thing go. I haven't added to it, which I probably should have. Definitely see a few spots I could have, but right, I'm just noting the group strength. The rest of the group is acting really well. Wolf is another name I own. Could have added to this one today. This one was also on the watch list yesterday. Super nice follow through above that reversal day, which would be Tuesday's high, and close pretty strong. Cypher, another one that I own as well, that I bought on the earnings day. Really nice pullback right into the 20. You know, find support, and then it pushes above that prior day high, and then just another continuation day today. So another name acting really well. The whole group's moving together, right? That's exactly what you want to see. It's super strong. I feel like I'm probably missing something, but I got Hut on the list. Inside Data is some of my favorite names on the list for sure. Yes, it's almost 9 ATRs from its 50, but on a big earnings gap up like this, and same thing with like a BE, right? And I don't know, like a DOCN even, like you get a big earnings gap up, it's extended, but it completely changes the stock on earnings gap up. Like I don't care too much for an ATR extension when it comes to a big gap up, like FTNT, for example, right? You have a massive weekly base, you get the big earnings gap up, and the next day it follows through, beautiful high volume close setup, and it's extended, but it keeps going, right? So, you know, it really changes the whole, like Nick likes to talk about, the demand of the stock. So it's something super important to focus on. Especially the big gap ups and the leaders of inside these certain groups. And I think Hut definitely is one of the leaders. So over the prior day high for Hut, or slash through this pivot, right, which is the earnings high, and even like a small gap down, I would definitely watch that high volume close as a spot as well. You know, if it's a little weak, get a little washout in the morning or something, and to push back through that. Innodata, I don't think this name is bad too much yet. Really nice gap up out of super neglect on the highest volume ever. Let this name continue digesting. You kind of got like a Datadog in that technology group alongside like FTNT. CrowdStrike isn't on earnings, but you get a really massive rally. Same thing with Palo Alto. I mean, these names are insane. And then Frog is even another one, right? A lot of tech names gapping out on earnings, acting super strong. Innodata is one of those where it's like a pullback into the high volume closes, an area I'd look for maybe some sort of undercut rally spot slash reversal area. But I mean, you know, weekly chart, not my favorite candle, but I mean, you know, some digestion and name that gaps up on earnings like this, definitely something important to keep an eye on. ONDS, one of my favorite names on the list. Watching this as a high volume close, got a big base above its head, super big gap up today on the highest volume ever, like I said. And yeah, I mean, you know, this name was looking really good in here, and then it just went to shit while the market was ripping, and it got saved by an earnings gap up. So like I said, high volume close is what I'll pay attention to. Same thing like the FTNT, where you get the gap up, and I just watch for the follow through that close, and that could be the setup, and this thing could easily be pushing out of a base, right? A lot of these smaller cap names are acting so well. OUST is another one where it had a really nice base, you know, undercuts and rallies to 200, puts in a tight inside day, and then just follows through the prior day's high. FCEL is another one where, you know, you get on the back of BE, right? Another name in the group that's extremely strong. You know, just a super momentum name, right? You get your highest volume ever, 3 days low volume into the 10-day, gets a big bounce, and then it consolidates for like, you know, a week and a half, and it just gets the reversal candle off a big area, and it just pushes through the prior day's high, and that was a great spot. Or you can get it as an undercut and rally. And you know, the name goes from $12 to 21 in the matter of like 5 days. So, you know, if you're trying to grow a small account, whatever it is you're trying to do, FCell, these type of names are the best ones to do it. I think ONDS is another great name. OUST we talked about. Tesla, really like the way that this name's acting. I will watch to see how it pushes above this little pivot area from that big price move day. But another one where I'm just waiting for a digestion, letting this thing continue to digest, and a name I'm just really wanting to key in and key in on and pay attention to. Datadog, I just randomly remembered this is another one that's been a nice technology gapping name. VIAV, right? Not my favorite action today as far as like it being red when the market's ripping, but it is a nice inside day. You flip to an hourly, which is not going to show it that well on here. But you know, you still kind of got a flag building and an inside day today. So I need like a gap and a push to the level, or just a continuation of holding higher lows in here, and maybe another day of digestion would be nice. But I'm really watching that prior day high slash this like kind of area of like a flag. A push out of that would be interesting, right? It had some big volume on the gap up. Yeah, it's been consolidating while the market's been ripping higher, but I think the weekly chart looks super intact here, and it just looks like a nice little flag possibly. So it's a name I'm keeping an eye on. Without further ado, I appreciate you all coming to these videos. No video tomorrow as the markets obviously close on Saturday, so there will be no watch this video for Friday, but I will see you guys all on Sunday night. Have a good weekend.